Well, delays have been the name of the game for the last 2 months or so. Why should the anniversary video be any different? At least it came out, right? Right? Right. Unlike the past 2 years, my output this year was very definitely down. There were a couple reasons for that. Once again, I did 3 reasonably long LPs, 30, 35, and 49 episodes. Plus, of course, I'm 47 episodes into Skies of Arcadia and maybe 2/3 of the way through the game. Then there was getting sick toward the end of Leaf Green, and then there was the downtime that came from switching into a new computer, and then I lost my job. I'm not going to lie, that was a serious emotional whack. It didn't help that my planned LP to return after hiatus was just not a lot of fun to play, at least via emulator, and at that point in time. I don't have a lot of focus or patience while I am upset, and while I truly think Dawn of Sorrow is an excellent game, it's marred by a mechanic that is minorly bullshit on the original hardware and majorly bullshit on emulator. And of course there was that convention in January, and all of the interviews, illnesses, and tax paperwork that have made Skies inconsistent at best. Oh yeah, and I got diagnosed with ADHD to nobody's surprise at all. I'm really hoping that my next LP, whatever it may be, is less sporadic than this. But enough about that, it's time for a retrospective on what I did manage to get out this year. First off, of course, we had Chrono Trigger, which I still state is one of the absolute best RPGs of all time. The graphics still look incredible, the music is amazing even when it's a MIDI file, the story is wonderful, and the translation is unforgettable. Even if there are a few parts where Woolsey and crew had to make the best choice of a lot of bad options, or just didn't have the time to catch all their mistakes. Doing it was amazing as well, especially thanks to Legends of Localization and the Chrono Compendium, 2 amazing sources that helped me talk about the original script in a detail I'd never have been able to otherwise. Then there was Temples of Turmoil, which might have been my last ZC quest. I have yet to try and see if the program will play well with Win 10 now that it's on this machine. I did this one at the request of the quest maker, and I'm actually quite glad I did. It was a lot of fun to do, and certainly had fewer dick moves than I'm used to. As a short palate cleanser, it was perfect for following up Chrono Trigger, and it was something I truly enjoyed. I'm going to try and do more ZC quests in the future, should technical difficulties not interfere. After that came Pokemon Leaf Green. Still glad I did this one, but it was a bit more of a grind than Emerald. For one thing, being a remake of the Gen 1 games, even with the added post-game, there just wasn't as much stuff, and the story wasn't as in-depth. I missed the other Pokemon of Gen 3. Sticking to the original 151 just really made the fights bland, to the point where I had to start cutting them out, where I didn't feel the need to do that in Emerald. That said, it wasn't a bad game, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was just maybe not the most fun. Still may decide to try Heart Gold or Soul Silver for the channel, and maybe Platinum someday, as I now have a DS emulator. Don't hold your breath for Black and White. Thrown in there were a couple of test videos, one to laugh at the Max Steel game for Dreamcast, and one to test my DS recording and editing ideas. I would like to apologize to Max Steel Covert Missions for making fun of its disappearing textures. As Skies proves, that's my emulator's fault and not the fault of the game. The horrendous voice acting from everyone but Christian Campbell, the ugly models, the poorly rendered environments, and the repetitive and boring gameplay, those are all your fault, game, and I'm not apologizing for those. Next, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. After all the trouble I had with Dawn of Sorrow, and all the trouble I had personally, getting this LP up and running was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success. Sorry. But seriously, it was like punching out my stressors to finally see this project go up. A sort of tangible thing that proved I was capable of recovering, and was doing so. Plus, it really is a fun game. I like the characters, the dialogue was great and very snarky, the gameplay is fun and challenging without being bite-your-nails-off hard, and it wasn't particularly grind-heavy. It was fun and charming, had the usual Castlevania amazing music, and I actually like the anime-esque character portraits. Then again, I also like grilled eel, so I'm aware my tastes do not always align with the mainstream. And Skies of Arcadia. Again, so glad I've done this. Yes, the encounter rate is borked up, down, and sideways, not to mention fore and aft. Yes, this particular playthrough has been marred by the issues of Dreamcast emulators. That said, this game looks amazing for its time period, and not exactly awful even now. The music is absolutely marvelous, the character designs are cool and distinctive, the monsters are memorable, and the ship combat is something I wish more RPGs would do. To wit, it's something different from the bog standard of combat, but it still remains turn-based. There are a lot of fascinating RPGs and other games that I can't play because they've tried to shake up gameplay by adding real-time combat to the turn-based mechanic and yeah. I know not every game is made for me, but I'd like it if some of them still were. So what's shaping up for the next year? Well, hopefully being on meds will help my output a bit, assuming my PCP ever actually writes the script they said they were going to. Then, when I finally finish Skies, I'm going to take another break, mostly to get my capture card up and running. If I can get that thing working to my satisfaction, then you'll see Switch games! Definitely Bloodstained, of course, once it comes out. The Link's Awakening remake. If Persona 5 comes to the Switch, I will probably do that. Maybe Luigi's Mansion 3. And, of course, Pokemon Sword or Shield. On non-Switch notes, I'm leaning toward a DS Pokemon game, as I said, trying to get ZC running again to do more of those, and maybe Dawn of Sorrow once I feel up to fighting with that damn magic seal mechanic. I've been having a lot of fun doing voice acting for Skies, so I'll be picking games that let me do that occasionally too. Other than that, I'll sail where the wind takes me as I have for the past 3 years, and hopefully I won't run afoul of the Dark Rift. Thank you all for being the best fans a penguin could ask for. Knowing that there are people out there who enjoy my work makes a huge difference. So until next time, this is Penna Daily signing off. Have a good day.